Okay. Good morning. On behalf of the League of Women Voters of South San Mateo County, I welcome the candidates and you, the audience, to this free public forum for governing board member for Ravenswood City School District. I'm Ellen Hope, and I will be your moderator this morning. There are other league members helping me. I'll get to their names in a moment, I hope. Let me tell you a little bit about the League. The League of Women Voters is a national, nonprofit volunteer organization of women and men. Our education mission is to encourage your active and informed participation in government at every level. The League does not endorse candidates or political parties. Our interest is in helping voters gain fair, unbiased information in order to make an informed decision on Election Day, November 8th. In addition to this forum, I encourage you to visit the California State League of Women Voters election website, which is votersedge.org, for information about all of the candidates and all of the measures on your ballot. I would ask everyone to turn their cell phones off, please. Questions will be taken from the audience. We ask that you submit those using the 3x5 cards available from our volunteers. Please raise your hand if you'd like a card to write a question on. We can provide you with cards and pens or pencils, and when your question is written, we'll collect it and someone will bring it up to me. Every candidate will have 2 minutes for an opening statement and 2 minutes for a closing statement. Every candidate will have 1.5 minutes to respond to each question. A League of Women Voters volunteer, who today is Joanne Brueggemann, I said I would get to some of our other volunteers, is sitting in the front row with her time paddles. Thank you, Joanne. We would ask you to stay within your time limits, Joanne. Joanne can be fierce. There are 2 seats to be elected for the governing board. There are 3 candidates. The candidates are, beginning on my left, SHARIFA Wilson, Marco Chavez, and Marielena, how do you pronounce your last name?
GAONA-MENDOZA.
GAONA-MENDOZA. Each candidate will read a 2-minute opening statement. Then we'll take your questions. So I think we'll start with the opening statements. SHARIFA?
Thank you. Thank you to the League of Women Voters for arranging this forum today to provide an opportunity for the voters to hear from the candidates. My name is SHARIFA Wilson, and I've been a resident of East Palo Alto for over 30 years, and I've been serving on the school board for the past 8 years. During the time that I've been on the board, there have been some significant changes. The board has worked together to develop a plan to improve the quality of education in the district. We selected a new superintendent. We set a new direction focused on increasing academic rigor and opportunities for our students. We are beginning to see those changes in our schools today. We've increased our community partnerships to enable us to expand our summer and after-school programs. These programs now work directly with our teachers to ensure that the academic work is supported with the work that's being done in our regular classrooms. I've been part of a team that's been committed to addressing all the issues that we have. We focus on solutions. We take a strategic approach. I serve on the facilities subcommittee, and we are overseeing the repairs and the expenditures of the bond measure that was just passed in June. I want to continue to work on these and other issues, including the creation of a comprehensive middle school, the expansion of preschool, workforce housing, and teacher retention. I bring experience and skills to support bringing these efforts into reality. Thank you.
So good morning, and thank you to the League of Women's Voters for organizing this event this morning. So about 4 years ago, I was sitting in a similar situation at a similar forum, and at that time, California and the United States was embarking on an unprecedented time in terms of change in our education system. We were starting adopting new standards, the Common Core standards, which meant that we would engage in adopting new curriculum and new methodologies for instruction. We had a new testing system that was coming into play, as well as the new local control funding formula, and a variety of new initiatives coming down the pike. My role and objective as a board member, as I started then and through this period, has been to really provide leadership in the development of procedures to successfully engage in the implementation of all of these new initiatives. So over the course of the 4 years that my tenure on the board, I am very happy and proud to say that in relation to these new initiatives, we've provided extensive professional development on the new Common Core state standards, as well as the SBAC assessment, the new assessment. We purchased significant amounts of new technology to give our students access and access to the testing and resources, which include laptops, iPads, as well as access to the internet. And I'm very proud to say that in some of our grades, we have a 1-to-1 ratio, technology to student. So that's something that we're very proud of and that we worked very hard towards. We've adopted a new reading and language arts program. We've developed processes and procedures to engage our stakeholders on the local control accountability plan. So with that, I'm very happy with all the work that we're doing.
Thank you, Marielena.
Hello, everyone. It is an honor to be here as an immigrant who came from another country and who had to raise my kids, not knowing how the system works. I had to go through a lot when my kids were in this school district. That was 30 years ago. Our school district was not ready to educate many of our students, not just mine. So my kids had to get up early in the morning at 6 o'clock and ride through the bus to get to Palo Alto to get a better education. Today, things have improved a little, but still, our parents have still taken the decision to take them out. Because, why? Not because they like it, but because things need to improve. And the reason I decided to run for this is because I have tried to give back to my community. When I became a teacher, I said, here I go, I'm gonna give to East Palo Alto, all my education that I got, and I'm gonna, my kids, my community is gonna get benefit. Well, it was close to impossible. I have found out that it's very difficult to really improve things better when we have a system that is not working in regards to our, it is hard to communicate with the superintendent and with yourself. We don't have an available an email or contact number, so our community, just like me, has to keep the concerns to themselves. So also I was dismayed by the low scores. I mean, that was 2 years ago that we started with the low scores. And things need to improve, and now is the time to improve our school district so our students can stay here in our own neighborhood and feel good, have their friends, and not have to live somewhere else. So if I am here, I will make a lot of changes on what I said, and teacher retention is very important.
Thank you. Our first question, we have several questions primarily to do with academics. But the first one is, why are scores in academics so low 2 years in a row? And Sharifa, if we start with you.
Yeah, we're experiencing frustration around that as well. Part of the issue is that there is a totally new system for testing of the children, and everything is online, okay? So one of the things that we worked on was getting the technology so that the kids would be able to have the experience of working online in the classroom and in the computer labs. We were challenged by the fact that our buildings didn't have access, so we spent money putting routers in the classrooms to make that accessible. If you look actually around the state, you'll see that the same grades, low test scores on this particular testing is reflected in most communities of color. And so we're looking at ways to provide more exposure to the kids, provide more experience with working in the testing format, and hoping that that will improve the grades as we move forward.
And certainly I would echo that and then add that it is a very alarming when we saw the test results. And we engaged with our superintendent and our staff in a call to action approach. We will be meeting actually next week to look at what is it that certainly we've identified areas that we've been improving on, but what is it in terms of what are the successful strategies that we currently have in place, and how can we expand on that? Is it coaching that our brand new teachers need to be able to effectively deliver instruction? Well, then let's focus on that. The other thing is an equity issue, that while our students, and we serve the most fragile families in our county as well as in the state. And so when our students have limited resources at home, our focus also has been to provide food, access to additional resources beyond the classroom and beyond the schools. So for us in Ravenswood, it's the instruction, and yes, it's the classroom and materials, but we also have the challenge and to look for resources to provide them additional help at home with the entire family. So we're working hard to do all of that.
Marielena.
I remember being here, sitting down in this room when the scores were read, and I heard excuses about, the low internet, about the computers, but I believe that has a little bit to do with it. What's really happening is instruction in the classroom. We need to improve, we need to retain good teachers, hire good teachers. What is happening at this point, people come because they don't have experience. They come in and get any job, the lowest paid job. If they're having difficulty getting jobs somewhere else, they stay 1 year and they leave. Or if they want to improve things, they get fired. That easy. Teachers who are staying here longer are teachers who kick their kids out of the room, who do not speak the language well, who said, I don't want you in my classroom. So how those students are going to improve their scores if they're spending all day in the classroom? To me, it is about the teaching, about the teachers who are in the classroom, about them being there because they love the kids. And you have had very good teachers too, but unfortunately they leave. They are as good as Palo Alto teachers, but they don't stay. Why? The salary is too low. When they bring concerns, they're ignored. So I don't blame them. We need to change that. We need to retain the teachers, train those who need to be trained, or get rid of them. But they cannot be educating our students when they don't know how to do it.
Sharifa. You're the, no, you didn't.
Is this the one about the test scores?
Hang on. Yes, you did. I beg your pardon. Okay, Marcos, I'm sorry. I knew I would do this sooner or later.
I could do it again.
This one is Marcos to start.
Okay.
What, if anything, has the district been able to do to reach out to parents of children in the vital preschool years?
In the vital preschool years. I could say that at our Child Development Center, we have engaged in actually reshaping the way we and simplify the registration process and look at ways to do that, so that what we're finding is that the process is so complex that it actually takes a long time to register students. So we're trying to be proactive and reach out to families so that the students can register easier, and families can benefit from the child development services. In addition to that, we're very happy to announce that we were part of the Big Lift districts. We were granted funding to expand some of our preschool spaces and be able to serve more families, as well as improve some of our existing services and classrooms that we have in our preschools. We are very much aware and know that starting students down the quality education path prior to kinder is vital. So we're certainly want to engage in that work.
for the preschoolers, it is very important that the school district from some kind of, or has a position that might be called liaison, and this person is to be designated only to go and reach for those parents who have young children and encourage them to come and get them enrolled. Many parents, like when I was an immigrant, do not know these opportunities, and if we don't get told, how am I gonna know? So perhaps getting out there and more in touch with the community will really help, because I know parents do want to bring the students to preschool, but they do hear this thing about, oh, it costs money. So for me, I had to pay because I didn't know this, I was not informed, and I know many other parents have to pay for that too, in order to take them to preschool experience, which is very, very important for students to succeed. If they come to kindergarten and they haven't had that experience, we have to deal with teaching them how to sit down and listen to story, getting involved with books. So by then it's too late. I think we need to do something, and we really want to start preparing our kids and getting ready for kindergarten.
Thank you. One of the things that the school district is doing is that we're actually looking at bringing preschoolers to the school campuses. So we're, as part of the facilities subcommittee, looking at our buildings, designating space, and creating that space so that we can increase the opportunities for preschoolers in this community. We're also part of the YES Collaborative, which has a early childhood school readiness work group that is not only working with the school district, but working with the other preschool providers around the community. Because for the Ravenswood district to concentrate on improving preschool helped, but when all of the preschools are working together in a coordinated way for us to prepare the schools, the children for the schools throughout the community, that's going to have the greatest impact. So by working together with the other preschool providers, and as well as increasing our space and providing space for preschoolers, we will be expanding the opportunity for the parents, for the children to have preschool.
Thank you, Sharifa. Marielena, the next one, there are two related questions here. What are you going to do so our children won't leave the district and end up going to charter schools or private schools? What can you do to help our students to stay in this district instead of transferring to Palo Alto in order to get better education? So that's pretty much the same question. So
That is a really good, important question for our community too. And like I said, I went through that, so I understand the parents. I really wish we didn't have to go and take our kids over there to the other side, to the west side, and the long ride. I wish that no charters have to come and rescue our kids who are at risk, but at this point, that has been helping. That has been saving many students. I know it saved mine. My kids were at risk because I had just come to this country. I spoke very little English, and if I bring them to this place, this district, where they belonged, they wouldn't be where they are right now. I'm sure about that because I have seen many students in this district who have gone the wrong way. We need to get better opportunities for our students right here and better choices right here in our district. We need to retain them, not just retain the teachers, retain the students. Why? We need to retain them because it's good for them. They have more friends when they are around. My kids didn't belong in there and didn't belong in here, so I really feel bad for those kids who had to go. I also work on the other side, and I got to see how they have to go and around the system. But I believe that if the district really does the work, hiring better teachers, listening to the parents' concerns, so they don't have to take them out, because there have been parents who come here and said, I had to take my kid out because he was not getting the services. Thank you.
So that is a real question that has been asked repeatedly. How do we keep our kids from leaving and going to charter schools? Well, first of all, it's parental choice. So parents choose where they want to place their kids based on their perception of the school. what we're doing is, and really the answer for the district is for us to improve the quality of education and make that information known and expose the parents and the community to what is actually going on in our classrooms. A lot of people have a mindset from 15 years ago, from 30 years ago, as to this is what the district was like, and they don't realize that there have been changes in the district, changes for the better. For example, we now offer counseling services to all the middle school students. We have maker spaces, science labs. We have technology, as Mr. Chavez mentioned, on one-to-one for our students. And so by doing these, improving these, and making the community aware of what is going on and the fact that their students can, in fact, get a good education in our community is one of the ways that we're going to encourage more people to keep their students in the district.
So I had a lot of similar items that were shared, but I will add that in addition to really demystifying and advertising and promoting our own programs, that we have, as Ms. Marielena shared, we have high-quality teachers, teachers that can compete anywhere in any other district. In addition to that, we have the award-winning makerspace programs in our schools, as well as students that successfully leave our district, successfully complete high school, and successfully enter Ivy League universities and universities. So we will, we need to continue to promote that and make it more visible and demystifying what really happens in our schools. My question is, do these students that go to Tinsley or to, are the school districts, and again, it's by choice, is there a gap? Are they closing that achievement gap with these students that leave and they enter other school districts? So we need to continue. Certainly, there's a lot of work to do here, but again, as I stated in my opening statement, the resources that are needed beyond the school for our families is what we will continue to focus on to encourage them and successfully educate them. And those services are not always available in other school districts that our students leave to.
Thank you. Another question, Sharifa, we will start with you this time. What do you think is mandatory for a great child's education? Do you think, well, this is a bit, do you think spending money on computer service is part of it when the computer service is perhaps not what it should be?
Well, yeah, okay, so, yeah, we have to have the technology in the classrooms. We have to, and we had to invest money. And that was one of the things that we had to weigh out. You know, you have to figure out what the priorities are. And we had to invest in the technology because, again, as I mentioned earlier, all the testing is now done online. So the students have to have the access. And we have to ensure that that happens. So yes, spending money on computers is something that needs to happen. There are other, of course, mandatory parts. Of course, we have to have the reading material. We have to have the literacy. So those things are necessary. But it is necessary to have the computer and the technology there available.
And certainly technology, not only in the schools, but then again, how do we provide access beyond the school? How do we provide access to technology so that the students can learn at home and have access at home? So that certainly, again, is a challenge of how do we provide those safety nets or those resources beyond the school? In addition to technology, I think, great instruction is not just technology for technology's sake, but rather how do we pair up the technology with the instructional programs and the methodology so that together that the students receive a 21st century, 22nd century education. So yes, technology, but responsibly integrated technology.
Um, Another very good question. Whoever wrote it was reading my mind when I heard about we having new computers. And then in back of my mind, it was the time when the superintendent said, the lost scores are because we have low internet. We have internet that is not responding quickly. But also, you get computers and there's nobody there to teach keyboarding to our students. And this is not 30 years ago. I worked in the district less than 2 years ago. So it's fresh. I saw how the computers were there, and there was nobody to come and teach them keyboarding skills like every day for them to get better. How can a student be taking a test when they don't know where the A is, the B? They would take them to computer, but there was nobody to computer lab. There was nobody for them to really address the keyboarding. They will be doing something else, like playing games. My students spend time watching The Hulk, very violent movie. That time could have been spent on typing on the keyboard, really getting to know how the computer works, and so when that time comes, they will know what to do instead of just going to games. They are very good at going to games, though. And it's not low internet for that. They go quickly, and they're there. But when you complain about that, there's, again, closed walls. We can't speak to this board. It's like talking to this wall right here. We're always told, oh, the superintendent will call you. That never happens. That's why I would like to change that.
If elected, what would be your top priority as a board member?
That'd be me.
That's you.
So top priority for this term, in addition to continuing to see the progress with the entrusted measure that our community recently approved for us, and moving forward with our implementation of our facilities master plan, I think teacher retention and the teacher shortage is a huge issue. So how do we continue to provide, and not just teacher, but staff retention in such an expensive area to live in? Is it workforce housing? Is it other resources and services that we can provide our staff? And finally, but in addition to those two, another top priority for me is the whole equity piece. When we have students that live in such severe poverty, when we have families that are living in multiple families, 3 or 4 families living in a 1 or 2 bedroom apartment, where does that fit in our system of government, in our system of education, so that these students that have these minimal resources can succeed in our education system? So do we partner with the city officials? Do we partner with the county to provide these resources? I think that has to happen. And so that is one of my priorities, my third priority.
If I do win, I will make sure that our students get better quality education. This is what I am running for, where everyone can get the education they deserve, and they don't have to leave this district. They don't have to be seen as foreigners at the school they go. They live here, they're part of our community. But how am I gonna do that? We have students with full inclusion, and that sounds very nice. But when we have students in there with aides that are not trained to teach our students, what happens? The teacher, who is the general education teacher, is not trained to deal with special education students. So the whole thing goes down. There is no more instruction. There is a lot of interrupting learning for everyone. So if you do really want this to improve, you need to have, hurry up, teacher with special education and teacher with general education, or both. Because it's not gonna work just keeping the student the whole day there, a student with autism, an 8th grade class with an 8, and a teacher who doesn't know how to deal with, and wasting the time. You might as well open the special education class again, because this is not working. It's not in the best interest of everybody. If you don't have somebody there, you only have somebody to go there for 40 minutes the most a day. What happens the rest of the day? So I don't blame the teachers if they have to leave. They don't have support.
So for me, the priorities are teacher retention, which has to do with both professional development as well as the issue of housing. So am on the Workforce Housing Subcommittee, so we're going to be looking at that. How do we create the opportunity to keep not only our teachers, but our staff in the area because of all the pressures for housing? The other priority would be parent engagement. We have started parent universities. We recognize and understand the importance and the role that parents play in contributing to the educational improvement for the students. So providing more opportunities for parent engagement. And then the third priority is facilities. We just passed in June, as I mentioned, the bond measure, which has given us $26 million to be used to improve our facilities. And so as part of that subcommittee, I want to ensure that those funds are used to address the critical facilities issues, because by providing more and improved facilities, we will create a better environment for the children to be able to learn in.
Thank you. Marielena, you start this one, I think. What are the most important aspects of a good education?
Say it again, please.
What are the most important aspects of a good education?
It is the whole child feeling good at school, socially, emotionally, and academically. If a student comes and he's bullied and nobody does anything, that child is not gonna learn. If a child is feeling suicidal, and again, I hear that there are counselors, they're not there all the time. If a child is feeling suicidal, what's gonna happen to that child? We need to improve our counseling system right away. As you know, our students have a lot to deal with. Even, it's everywhere, it happens everywhere, but it happens here too, and they're so young. I believe that they should be really prepared for 8th grade when they go to 8th grade. And teachers, get better teachers, please, keep them. Even if they're giving you a hard time, if they are very good teachers, keep them, they must be kept. Thank you.
So I think that the good aspects of a good education are, of course, providing the quality instructions for the students, providing the materials and the supplies that they need, also working with the families to provide additional enrichment supports for students, giving the students the confidence that they can achieve, giving them experiences where they feel good about themselves because of their accomplishments, exposing them to opportunities for art, for music, for science. Again, when they leave this district, they'll be able to work more confidently in the high schools and then therefore go off to college. One of the things, again, expectations is one of the good aspects. Having kids understand that having high expectations for our students. As a teacher, I know that teacher expectation has a direct correlation with student performance. So again, having students be in an environment where they're encouraged, where they're provided with the skills that they need to be successful. All of these are good aspects for a good education.
So certainly the quality of instruction is a key element or an aspect of good education. And with that, the preparation of our teachers and the instructional materials that we provide and offer within our schools and our classrooms. And so with the preparation of teachers is the professional development as well as retaining our effective teachers over time. In addition to that, school climate. The climate in the schools are where students feel safe, where students feel respected, and that the staff and the adults that are within the schools are responsible adults in terms of creating a quality learning environment. In addition to that, parent engagement is vital. It's critical, I should say, especially within our families, that the parents not only feel welcomed in our schools and participate in the instruction, but providing them with resources and tools to be able to help students at home. extended learning, extended day or pre-day learning. I think it's very important also for our families that once they leave our school campuses at the end of the day, that they have quality opportunities to engage in, for our students to engage in beyond the regular school day. So I would say those would be good aspects of good instruction.
Thank you. We have time, I think, for one more question, and then we'll go to the closing statements from the candidates. This is a question that refers back to some earlier ones, but it comes at it from a slightly different slant. The school district may be, this is air quotes, chartered out of existence, primarily due to low test results. Would this be a good or a bad result from your perspective, and why? Sharifa.
Am I first?
Yeah,
Oh,
you're
okay.
first.
So it's interesting. You know, the evidence is really not in yet about the effectiveness of charter schools, okay? And so I would say that, again, we're going to focus on improving the quality of education in the district and exposing the community and the parents to the array of improved services that we are providing in the district. I think that we can compete against a charter school. And so that's the direction. We'll focus on, again, creating the environment, creating the buildings, creating the space, creating the professional development, improving the instruction for our children so that we can compete with charter schools.
So, you know, as a board member and just an educator in general, one priority of mine is to hold the charter schools accountable for what they're doing and the quality of programs that they're offering. And certainly historically in this district, there's been some charters that have been revoked because of that. And so, you know, I would say that I don't see that we will be chartered out, as you stated in your question. I will say that our work is different than our charter schools and the Tinsley program, in that, again, we have the most fragile students, the most fragile families, and when schools, and I will say this publicly, when some, not all, but when some charter schools encountered these challenges with these students and families, these students come back to us. Mm-hmm. And it's not once that it's happened, it happens a lot. And it usually happens around testing time. Mm-hmm. It's very interesting. But all of that to say is that my job here is to continue to provide quality education and instructional and programs for not only our students, but our families, so that they are successful. And it's not easy, again, within the district, but that's my commitment.
This is another great question. I believe that if we don't improve our district, like I told you, I worked 2 years ago. My experience with my kids was 30 years, but my experience as a teacher was 2 years ago. We need to improve a lot more. What's going on in our classrooms, in our schools, is very devastating if you were there. I mean, you will cry if I give you my stories, but I'm not here to do that. I'm here because I want to change. I want students to get better education, the education they deserve. It doesn't matter if they're poor. It doesn't matter if they don't have food to eat. We have seen how in other countries, we have the schools, they go on the ground. They don't have seats to sit down. And good people come from there. Good professionals come from there. So I'm afraid that we're going to make castles here, and they're going to be empty. Because if we don't improve the quality of education, parents will continue to leave this district. And that's sad. That shouldn't be the choice for our parents to do that. I know it is a free choice, but they do it because they love their kids, and they cannot put them at risk when we do not get better. We need to get better. That band that came, I'm very glad. in favor of bands, but if we don't use that money, it's gonna be lost.
Thank you. I'm going to try and squeeze in one more question. An interesting one came up. I'm going to rephrase it slightly. If a teacher has been shown to be abusive or mean to students, are they fined or do they get a warning? What happens? Do you have teacher retreats or training programs to learn to be better teachers?
You want me to start?
Marco, actually.
Okay. I will say that all of our teaching staff are mandated reporters, and if there's any inkling or any evidence, a most minor evidence that there is such action happening, we are the first ones, and I'll speak for myself, I would be the first one to report that incident and follow the process to the full extent of the process. That is my job as an educator, and I think as a board, it is my job to ensure that our superintendent follows these processes and procedures and law that are in place to protect children. I would never, I would just add that our teachers are provided with information, our principals are provided with our training that around harassment, around mandated reporting. So these are processes that are in place and that are followed, and I'm very happy to talk to anyone about any processes or any trainings that they feel need to happen, but I can assure you that we do offer those, and we do follow every law and every procedure as it relates to student safety.
Marielena?
Wow. I feel like I should be silent
That's your
because when I worked there, a student was let mark in the arms, not by a teacher, but a teacher aide. So still staff. He was told not to do it again. Police was called. He did it again. I came to complain. I tried to take in the complaint and I couldn't as a teacher. I put in a uniform complaint, but the district did spend a lot of money to get lawyers. And yes, the lawyers offered me money. And I said no, because it's not about the money, it's about getting better for our students. The students getting better education and being respected, even if they are poor, even if the parents do not speak the language or they don't know the rights. We are here to protect them, and that should not be happening. And if I am here as a board member, I make sure that our parents are listening to their concerns and they are followed through, and there is a system in place that investigates this, like a uniform complaint system, and they investigate them, and we do not have to go and spend money on our lawyers, because that's just taking the resources of our kids. And of course, the lawyer is gonna defend you know who. Our kids are in big need of that change.
So, yes, there are very, very clear procedures as to what happens when we get a complaint about any level of abuse. That procedure involves not only the principal, but the superintendent, as well as the police department, as well as Child Protective Services. We also have a court monitor that monitors our students through special ed. So we always respond in a timely manner by following up and investigating any complaint. As teachers, and I'm a teacher as well, we are mandated reporters. There is nothing that prevents a teacher from picking up the phone and calling the authorities if they suspect abuse. They don't have to go to the principal. They don't have to go to the superintendent. They don't have to go to anyone. They have, by law, the obligation to follow through, okay? But within the district, we do have a procedure, and we follow that procedure. We also do have extensive professional development, especially for our new teachers. So again, we address those issues as they arise.
Thank you, Sharifa. Okay, 2-minute closing statements from each candidate. We'll begin at the other end with Marielena.
I'm here, I'm running for this because I want to make a change in our community. I want this district to be the best it can be for our kids, and I believe this is the time. Now is the time to improve things. Now is the time to show our parents that we do care about our kids, that we're improving, that their concerns are being listened, and not just here. They've been listened, and things have been done about it, that our superintendent becomes accountable and transparent and accessible when somebody wants to come to her and not be sent out or wait to somewhere else. So I believe that it's time for all of us as school board members to go and spend more than just 1 hour at the schools and really see what's going on. Because as a teacher who goes in every classroom, because I'm a special education teacher, I got to go to see too many classrooms, not just one. I didn't just have to deal with my own students. And I got to see, that's what I got to see. The good teachers, the bad teachers, the teachers who should not, I shouldn't be trusting my students to. But if somebody comes to us here, they can put on a really good show for 15 minutes, that's it. So we need to do more than just going there for 15 minutes and really observe, evaluate. There is no system of evaluation for our aides. That needs to change. The little training that they give is not enough to know how to deal with students with social and emotional and academic needs. Please, even if I don't win that here, you need to improve your future. If you win, you need to make sure that you do provide a better place for a student and an environment that is healthy. Thank you.
Okay. So I think for me is there's certainly a lot of initiatives that have started the last 4 years and that I really want to see through and follow through. One being the measure, the bond measure that was passed and the facilities, and really the work that has been done with that has been impressive in that our buildings are ADA compliant, in that our roofs in our buildings are now in great repair, and that the visual and performing arts piece, I think it has been a great addition to our programs, and that now our students are actually have qualified teachers that are teaching them music and have the instruments, the quality instruments to be able to do that. And then as I shared earlier, the whole equity piece in education, how do we engage with our city officials, with our county, to provide the best quality education for families and outside of the classroom as well. And finally, to continue the partnerships that we have with our Ravenswood Education Foundation, with the 49er Foundation, as well as with I have a great relationship with our teachers, with our staff, and to continue to work together collaboratively to resolve some of these issues. I bring to the table the experience. I think we can all say, we should do this, we should do that, we should do that. But I feel like I can provide very specific actions and recommendations with my over 20 years of experience in education at different levels of the system to be able to guide the district down a positive path. And finally, thank you to the League of Women's Voters for organizing this and giving us the opportunity to voice our opinions. Thank you.
Thank you. So the Ravenswood School District is moving forward, and we're committed to the mission to create quality instructional programs which empower our students to make choices, achieve their personal best, be college-bound and productive, responsible participants in the 21st century global society. The district has created school environments that are focused on offering activities, both academic and enriching. With funding from foundations and other partners, our students now work in science maker spaces where they're encouraged to design, experiment, build, and invent as they are deeply engaged in science, engineering, and tinkering. We are supporting our teachers with coaching and other professional development activities. We are expanding our parent training through parent universities, where parents have a chance to learn how to support their children academically, emotionally, and socially. We believe that parents are the first and most important teachers, and that by working together, we can help our students. The work ahead will focus on launching a middle school, where students will have access to an array of electives, such as band, orchestra, AVID, and art. We will need to monitor the facilities funding that we have secured to address our critical facilities needs. Serving on the school board requires putting in time to study issues, read and research, and most importantly, develop solutions. We have an obligation to work together to build consensus so that there is clear direction for the staff. I have demonstrated that I have the ability to not only understand the issues, but also be an effective board member. I have worked to increase district resources, improve the school environment, and increase professional development for all staff. Let me thank you for coming this morning, and I hope that what you have heard, that you will vote for me on November 8th.
I'd like to thank all the candidates and the audience for coming this morning. You've noticed the lady with the camera at the back of the room. She's recording this forum for Mid-Peninsula TV. It will be broadcast and it will also be available on their website. We'd like to thank Mid-Pen for their cooperation in this. A couple of websites that you might need to look up. One is the League's election website, which is votersedge.org, which will have a link to this video, as well as tons and tons of information on ballot propositions and candidates and all sorts of things on our very long ballot that's coming up. Another site you can go to for information locally is our local league site, which is LWV, League of Women Voters, South San Mateo County, SSMC. So lwvssmc.org. Thank you all for coming. Have a good day.